Welcome to the Crunch Time YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the John Wall-Russell Westbrook trade that happened a day or so ago, and how it has pretty big impacts for both the teams involved in the trade. So let's get right into the video. As we know, John Wall and a first round pick has been traded for Russell Westbrook, and this is actually a pretty interesting trade. These two players had been rumored for each other to be traded probably since Houston was eliminated from the playoffs. A lot of Westbrook trade rumors, a lot of Harden trade rumors. Made a video on why Rockets should not trade James Harden. Didn't talk about them trading Westbrook too much. I didn't really have a stance on it as much as I had Harden, or they should not trade him. Westbrook really depended on the package, and getting John Wall and a first round pick is really interesting just because John Wall and Russell Westbrook are really similar players in their game. Very athletic, slasher type players. They aren't the best shooters in the world. We all know Westbrook for the past few years. He's not been the greatest shooter. And John Wall is coming off some pretty big injuries. I don't think he's played consistently for maybe 2-3 years now, and that's always very risky to trade for. And he's getting paid like $41 million a year, and that's quite a bit to give to someone who might not even be at the same level. But I think this is Houston's way of moving on from the small ball era that lasted like a year when they traded Clint Capella. I feel like they're now going to run an actual center. They have Boogie and Christian Wood as their front court. They don't have PJ Tucker and Daniel House anymore. I think this is a whole new regime now in Houston. They're going to try to play a bit more normal to say basketball, where it's not just freeze layups and free throws. Probably going to go for the mid-range game a little more. And now that they traded Westbrook, bringing in Wall is going to be interesting to see how he fits with Harden. I do think he fits better because Wall isn't as much he needs the ball in his hand like Westbrook, who isn't as great off ball. John Wall is definitely better off the ball than Westbrook for sure. But now Houston has a proper point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center, and they can match up against teams not like the Lakers, where ED is not getting guarded by 6'6" PJ Tucker. That definitely improves your odds. I still don't think this really changes my opinion on Houston too much. Getting a pick back does help, considering they traded so much for Westbrook. But it's not like I think they're better than the Clippers or the Lakers right now or anything. But I do think trading Westbrook is good in this situation, just because I think the fit would have been pretty bad with Boogie, Westbrook, and Christian Wood, because we all know Westbrook does play better inside, and you have those two players who are primarily inside players. Now let's look at it from Washington's point of view, and this is where it's really it looks good, but then it also looks bad at the same time, just because I'm 90% sure Westbrook is a better player than John Wall. He's not had a major injury so far. He actually had a pretty good year. If we're being honest, last year when they traded Clint Capella, he did really well. He did get hurt in the playoffs, which never helped. It is funny that the Wizards GM said, "No, we want to see what happens with Wall and Beal. Let's see how they play it out." Yeah, that never happened. They've played their final games with each other. So now it's Westbrook, Beal, Denny, Rui, and I believe not Rui. I don't know if they're going to be playing Rui or Denny, but it's between those two and Davis Bertans, who's probably going to be their starting wing or sixth man. So it's between those three players at the forward position, and I believe Thomas Bryant at center, which is a very interesting team to look at. I don't think this makes Washington a top 4 seed. Getting Westbrook, I think, helps their playoff odds a little bit. Giving up a pick, though, for Westbrook, it was necessary in the trade, obviously. Houston wouldn't have just done John Wall straight up. A pick gives them a little bit of like a safety net. Like, okay, maybe Wall doesn't turn out that great, but hey, you've still got a first round pick. But if Washington is not like a great team and this falls apart, this will be a terrible trade for Washington. I don't really know the specifics on the pick yet. That may be released in the future. Then maybe the opinion on the trade will be different if it's like lottery protected or something. But I do think the Washington combo of Beal and Westbrook is going to be a very interesting duo. I still think the Rockets did better off in this trade. Just because I think John Wall and Harden, it was rumored that Harden preferred Wall over Westbrook. And I just think the fit is better as well. Beal is good off ball, obviously. He just had the ball in his hand all of last season. Beal is good off ball, but him and Westbrook's going to be very interesting. But I do think there's a chance it works out for like the 5 seed. Maybe they do really good in the playoffs, and Westbrook's not done great in the playoffs in his career, basically. But hypothetically, they do really good. Maybe they make it to the conference finals somehow. Very unlikely. But then you say, okay, this is a win of a trade. Even if they make it to the second round, you can say, okay, they won this trade. At least in their point of view. But I don't imagine them doing that, so I don't really see the point of this trade. It doesn't make you go from like, okay, maybe making the playoffs to like, okay, we're a lock for like conference finals. So it is a very interesting trade. There isn't really a clear winner, but if I did have to choose, I definitely probably would pick the Rockets. So now right now what the screen is showing is just a mock trade I have up. So comment below what picks you would add to this trade, who you think wins this trade, who loses. Just the thoughts on the trade on the screen. Also comment below what you think of the Westbrook Wall trade. And thanks for watching and have a great day.